As educators, we all know the importance of implementing inclusive and ethical pedagogical approaches to meet the needs of all diverse students. It is outlined in both the Australian Professional Standards for Teachers and the Melbourne Declaration, which is why today I'm going to educate you on a pedagogical practice which can assist this process and give you options for differentiation based on students' learning abilities. Firstly, let's have a bit of a discussion about the impact of inclusive pedagogy and why as a teacher it is our responsibility to ensure our classroom is inclusive. Each student comes into the learning environment with a different set of experiences, values, interests, needs, and abilities. In an inclusive classroom, teachers recognise difference and devise ways to address students' differing needs and also take into account what each learner brings to the learning process. School systems and individual teachers also play a significant role in addressing sources of educational disadvantage and in taking steps to ensure that all learners are catered for and that background factors affecting learning are taken into account. Teachers need to be aware of sources of cumulative disadvantage and of issues facing students whose cultural backgrounds differ significantly from the dominant culture of the society in which they live. For example, the Australian curriculum states that teachers need to embed Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander education into their classrooms. The value of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander perspectives is not limited to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students. All students in Australian schools will benefit from the deeper understanding of Indigenous peoples, cultures and histories that develop through the study of Indigenous perspectives. One way to implement Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander perspectives is through the 8 Ways Learning Framework. This is a pedagogy framework that allows teachers to include Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander perspectives by using Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander learning techniques. The 8 Ways Learning Framework includes elements such as story sharing, learning maps, non-verbal, symbols and images, land links, non-linear, deconstruct and reconstruct, and community link. So, to demonstrate my knowledge with the 8 Ways Learning Framework, I have applied 3 elements to the Australian curriculum key learning area of mathematics, measurement and geometry, and will focus specifically on Year 4. I have adapted the following 3 learning experiences from the Murray Maths document provided to us as pre-service teachers by the Department of Education and Training 2018. In this first activity, called Cooking Damper, I will explore the concept of nonverbal learning, which looks at applying intrapersonal and kinesthetic skills to thinking and learning. One learning experience which integrates the nonverbal learning pedagogy of the 8 Ways Learning Framework could include measuring, using scaled instruments in grams and millilitres to measure ingredients needed to create a product as outlined in the Year 4 Mathematics and Geometry curriculum. Students follow a recipe provided to them by the teacher, and in small groups or as individuals follow the instructions, measuring the ingredients needed for damper in grams, millilitres and temperature as to how hot the oven must be. This learning experience would be most effective when students have previously completed measuring activities using scaled instruments. This activity would be suitable as a formative assessment. In formative assessment, any teacher has the ability to choose how they want their students to be assessed. One option that teachers have is to aim to develop the capacity of the student to recognise and appraise any gaps and leave the student feeling the responsibility for planning and carrying out remedial action that may be needed. In working in small groups, students have the ability to learn from each other and to appraise any gaps in their learning and leave all students feeling accomplished and prepared for future summative assessment on the topic. This learning experience is effective when helping students learn how to use units of measurement by allowing them to engage in hands-on activities. Studies suggest that in the early primary years of mathematical learning, students best interpret knowledge when they are able to interact with concrete materials. The nonverbal pedagogy used in this learning experience encourages students to use kinesthetic and interpersonal skills and applies to the mathematical concept of measurement. This means that students get to engage and play with ingredients to cook damper whilst also making sense of the importance of correct measurements. This pedagogy can be linked to Piaget's theory of cognitive development, stating that students learn best by doing something concrete first. It also has the potential to connect and engage with diverse students who learn kinesthetically. In Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences, he states that bodily kinesthetic intelligence is one which uses physical movement to develop understanding. Consequently, by using concrete materials and engaging students in hands-on activities, it supports the achievement of learning outcomes of bodily kinesthetic students. In this second activity, called Symmetry in Our Natural World, I will explore the concept of land links, which looks at place-based learning, linking contexts and concepts to local land and place. This learning experience, which integrates the land links learning pedagogy of the 8 Ways Learning Framework, could include using Australian native animals, plants, and Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander totems to find lines of symmetry using technology and their natural environment as outlined in the Year 4 Mathematics, Measurement and Geometry curriculum. Students choose an animal or plant or Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander totem and fold the picture in half to discover the line of symmetry. They can fold as many times as they like until they find the exact representation on both sides. When students are convinced they have found the line of symmetry, they show a friend. Each student uses scissors to cut their totem in half down the fold line. Students then glue their half totem into their books or onto a piece of paper and carefully draw the other half of their totem on the other side to show the symmetrical features. This learning experience would be most effective when students have previously completed activities on symmetry and have an understanding of the meaning as well as what asymmetrical means. This would therefore be an effective summative assessment tool, as summative assessment is intended to certify that learning has occurred. This learning experience is effective when learning to grasp the concept of creating symmetrical patterns with and without technology due to the hands-on authentic nature of the activities. The Land Links pedagogy makes a direct connection between the classroom and the land. This pedagogy enhances the learning outcomes of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students through culturally relevant teaching. Additionally, this activity supports Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences, as he states that an individual can have naturalist intelligence. This means that humans have the ability to become sensitive to features of the natural world. Furthermore, this activity supports place-based learning, as students are gaining an indispensable set of knowledge, skills and beliefs, including mastery of core academic content, critical thinking and problem solving, collaboration, effective communication, self-directed learning, and an academic mindset. In this third activity, called Are We There Yet?, I will explore the concept of symbols and images, which looks at using images and metaphors to understand concepts and content. The final learning experience, which integrates the symbols and images pedagogy of the 8 Ways Learning Framework, could include creating a basic map which shows position, as outlined in the Year 4 Mathematics, Measurement and Geometry curriculum. After reading the text, Are We There Yet?, as a class, students would then use this stimulus to pinpoint locations and specific features visited and seen in the text, on a map, using detailed directions given to them on a worksheet, drawing the particular symbols and images previously learnt, such as the native, animal, plant, or landmark relevant to the area. This learning experience will be most effective when students have previously completed mapping activities. This would therefore be an effective summative assessment tool. Summative assessment is important in schools and is deeply ingrained in our educational traditions. This is a summative task will gather evidence of learning in order to document a level of achievement at a point in time. This learning experience helps students grasp the concept of location and transformation through providing a connection between the mathematical concept and a particular symbol. Rather than having students memorize the complex knowledge, the symbols provide a visual prompt to stimulate their mathematical thinking. Thus meaning, students have the ability to use simple scales, legends and directions to interpret information contained in basic maps and place landmarks using symbols and images in the correct spot. Furthermore, given symbols and images are used as a metaphor to understand concepts and content, students from diverse linguistic backgrounds will be provided with extra linguistic support to quickly convey considerable information, reducing the amount of auditory information they must process to make sense of the activity or topic. This learning experience has also the potential to connect and engage with diverse students who learn visually. In Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences, he states that visual and spatial intelligence is one which gives an individual the ability to manipulate and create mental images in order to solve problems. Consequently, by using symbols and images and engaging students in pictorial activities, it supports the achievement of learning outcomes of visual and spatial students. In conclusion, the implementation of the 8 Ways Learning Framework provides support for teachers to embed Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander perspectives into their classroom while supporting the needs of all diverse students. The 8 Ways Learning Framework has proven to assist in targeting students who are culturally diverse, linguistically diverse, and socially diverse. As a pre-service teacher, it has become very apparent the need for this pedagogy in my classroom to ensure that it is inclusive and ethical.